button has been pushed.
Yeah, but my tummy hurts because I drank a Red Bull too fast.
My head hurts and I feel dizzy because I guess COVID, maybe? I hope it's COVID, so it's not anything else.
Oh my god.
Like,
Yeah.
This is a weird one. We're recording, for those of you who don't know, Friday at noon Eastern, which means that Alice has been awake for 37 hours and is dying.
It's only early afternoon, but I did not get much sleep last night, and I've been feeling like weird and sick and out of sorts. So I'm going to complain about that for about an hour and a half.
That's okay.
That'll do it.
I feel fine. Again, I have tummy hurt.
But the thing is, you are God's bravest soldier, Liam, because he gives you his hardest battles, like tummy hurt.
Yes.
Tummy hurt.
Hello and welcome to Well, There's Your Problem.
Did you forget the name?
It's a podcast about engineering disasters.
Hello and welcome to Long Pause. Well, there's your problem.
Hello and welcome to
welcome back to Kill James Bond.
Wait, what's my podcast called? What's my sole source of income called? Can I phone a friend?
The friend's just me being like, I don't know, man.
It's like coughing when you get the right answer.
Hello and welcome to Well, There's Your Problem. I'm Justin Rosniak. Well, this is the podcast with slides about engineering disasters. I'm Justin Rosniak. I'm the person who's talking right now. My pronouns are he and him. Go.
I am Alice Caldwell Kelly, the person who's talking now. Somehow less delirious than you. My pronouns are she and her. My pronouns are she and her. Yay, Liam.
What the fuck?
You. Eat shit.
You know what? It's just okay. All right, take that tone. Hi, I'm Liam.
That took you a moment too. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, bud.
You have some wrong opinions about which is the correct Bundesliga team to support.
I want Mrs. Rosniak to be happy. She's always been very nice to me.
I'm sure she's a lovely woman.
My pronouns are he, him.
I do think that she should be disappointed by Bayern Munich just one time in 11 years. Even once.
No, I have nothing. Let's just fucking go. We have a guest. Hey,
Hi.
Look at the camera. Hey.
Hi, my name is Victoria Scott, and my pronouns are she and her.
And you are pixelated.
It's
well, I am using rural Idaho internet, which is kind of just like a tube they shoot
the
bits
combination of rural Idaho internet and Zencastr, the service which we pay for and hate, which makes all of this possible, but also makes all of this terrible.
Useless.
Yeah.
Would you like it not? Would you like a 10-second audio lag, seemingly for no reason in the middle of recording? Sure, great. I do want to give a quick shout out as we're doing a car episode and we have an Idaho-based guest. I do want to shout out Taylor and Graham if you're listening. Thank you very much. They were the guys that helped me work on my van in my parents' driveway. And Graham used to drive an Alpha, and they're a very cool family. So thank you very much for
the return of Liam's van.
I just thought of
Liam's van mentioned.
Yeah. I have bad news about that.
Van 2 is coming.
No.
Oh God.
Stalking through the night streets.
Oh, no.
An 8-cylinder engine blowing out in various different directions. Rods thrown into
What
orbit.
have you done? Listener, cancel your Patreon. You can't let him do this. You have to cut off his sole source of income.
Yes, you can.
We have to sanction Liam now. Otherwise,
I will not be sanctioned. I will run the blockades with a 96 G20 or an 86 G20.
Roz, you should run the ad right now.
Oh God.
It's just me, man. Dude just goes into hold music.
yeah, just like rotating picture of a van, like slowly spinning over it.
Oh, that'd be pretty good. Anyway.
Wait, I have one more announcement. It's about shirts. Today is Friday, June 2nd. We are hoping to have the store open by Friday, June 9th.
Interesting. Will there be international shipping?
Oh, there will be, Alice.
Delightful. Finally, I can get a shirt from the podcast that I help run.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't think the band should be wearing the band's merch. You know, that's always kind of
I wear the band's merch.
I just rotate by one. I will record a Well, There's Your Problem t-shirt. Oh, fuck me. My brain is fucked. I will wear a Well There's Your Problem t-shirt recording Kill James Bond. I wear a Kill James Bond t-shirt recording this. And, you know, I'll wear a Trash Future t-shirt when I'm playing for Borussia Dortmund.
Right. Do you... do you have Kill James Bond merch?
Not for sale at the moment, but we're looking very strongly at more shirt designs.
Yes, I would like one so I can wear it when we go on tour.
I thought you were going to go like, oh, it's not for sale, like in sort of implying that you have the merch, you just don't sell it, you hoard it all, or you don't pay with money. Yeah,
I will show you my butthole if that's what it takes to get a shirt.
Please do not do that. Please do not show us your buttholes. We have a contact form on the website, but if you send us your butthole through that, we're sort of powerless to do anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not going to get any special treatment. Anyway, what you see on the screen in front of you appears to be an engine.
Oh, it's bad.
Looks in good repair.
Didn't read any of the notes for this.
Like pristine. And in a great looking car in a hideous shade of powder blue.
Oh, this just stinks like 80s GM.
Oh, you are so right.
Just identifying the stink of it, the stink lines, you know?
I can smell these fumes, actually. This is my friend Josh's dad in a junkyard in York somewhere, hitting it with a hammer until it revs.
Yeah.
See, the great thing is it'll never rev. Because it's a diesel.
Oh, well, I feel silly. All right, let's get into it while I look stupid.
This is. Can I just go off for a second?
Absolutely,
please.
This is my new special interest because I just drove 2,000 miles in a caravan of cars, one of which was these. It's pretty much the last surviving example left on Earth because it was the biggest pile of shit GM ever made, and I say that with full awareness of every product GM has ever made. It is. I think it is uniquely notable as an engineering disaster because it did not actually kill anyone aside from the diesel engine in America for 30 years.
We keep doing as we run out of ideas, but continue to need to pay rent. We're doing more and more disasters that are not disasters, do not kill anyone, and are sort of like looser interpretations. But that's fine. You're locked in now. You're parasocial. You're gonna keep paying for this. We could talk about anything we want. We could just do I don't know.
That's what the bonus episodes literally are. It's just like things we find interesting. I do want to say, Victoria, I thought of you. I saw a video of a guy who got tricked into going to a Chevy SSR meetup. He was, for those of you who don't know, the SSR was Chevy's weird muscle truck retro thing in the early 2000s.
It was a convertible.
It's magnificent. I've always wanted one.
All people
Alice, I need you to Google the Chevy SSR right now.
Well, because I'm on edge.
The thing is,
I have to Bing a Chevy SSR, which that's horrible. That's like a PT Cruiser's sort of cousin fucking son. That's
it's great. I saw a video, the guy's like, yeah, we're going to a car meet, like, you'll really like it, but he's like, what kind of car? And he's like, I'm not going to tell you, like, you just have to. He's like, okay, how bad can it be? Like, it's probably just going to be a Corvette
Mazda MX-5 A to B.
I love the SSR. I want one so bad.
Honestly, like, there's a couple of cars that I have a problematic interest in, and that is one of them. They're so stupid that they're kind of cool because the PT Cruiser was too good of a normal car. Like, it was a Toyota Matrix with retro styling. The SSR has no purpose whatsoever. There is no analog. It is literally just like, hey, boomers have money and they miss the 50s.
That's true.
What if we did something with that?
I mean, Joe Biden, driving the, the electric, the Ford Lightning or whatever. But the thing that interests me, though, is when you say I have a couple of cars that I have a problematic interest in, you mean this. When a car guy says, I have a couple of cars that I have a problematic interest in, that's the Hitler car. He means the Hitler car. He has a problematic interest in the Hitler car. He has a little model of the Hitler car with the little flags on it because he likes the Hitler car.
It could also be like a Nazi half track or something.
There is a communist half track because Lenin's car. Lenin had a Rolls Royce, which don't ever talk to me about champagne socialism. But because of the snow, he had what was called a Kegress track on it, which is like Belgian dude Leon Kegress invented this. It was like an early form of half track. It was like this rubberized track, and so he had like a half track Rolls Royce. And to me, that's the communism car.
Nice.
In a museum in Russia, which you now can't go and see because of Russia.
Yeah, because it's Russia. Yeah, they fucked up.
It's got big skis on the front wheels though, for like winter driving. It's incredible. It's a Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost, and it looks weird as hell. Looks very like Dishonored, very cyber, like diesel punk, I guess.
But yeah, today we're talking about, what are we talking about? It's Oldsmobile diesel something, right?
Yeah.
Oldsmobile diesel engine. We got 10 slides that we are gonna have to like drag it out a little bit,
But first, we have to do the goddamn news.
I was not paying attention. I don't know what this is.
Okay. It's very silly.
Small business tyrants should be, and sorry, Devin, rounded up. Besides us,
we're not a. Wait. I guess we are a small business, but we're a co-op. Like, we don't have employees, which is we
have technically one employee, I guess.
So that's a contractor.
Shout out Anna.
That's a contract. I was thinking Dev. Like,
hi Anna. Hi Anna.
I figured that would also be Devin. Yes,
that's a contractual relationship.
I kind of think of Devin as like the fourth host.
Fifth host after the Activate Windows logo.
Fifth host. I was about to say,
is the Activate Windows back, Ross? Did you figure that one out?
Yeah.
Oh my god! Dude,
after like every single
time I do anything with Roz computer related, I just want to like exile him to the next room and just be like, I will let you back in when I'm done.
I mean, I
not because he's incompetent or anything, but because Roz is cursed. Roz is full on cursed.
I had my own sort of like computer moment because my hard drive failed. Just like fully would not boot, and it was like, oh, your hard drive failed. Fucking take it out, idiot. Luckily, it wasn't anything important. It was because I refused to ever uninstall anything, and games are too big now. I had a big like 6 terabyte hard drive instead of solid state drive that I just used for games. I just kept that on there, and that decided you played too much Train Sim. Fuck you, gone. So I reinvested some of my Patreon bucks, and I bought a bigger, dumber, even more gamer hard drive. Is the fucking biggest one Western Digital's like gamer division makes.
I was thinking, did you go with the 22 terabyte?
It's a 10 terabyte like Western Digital black yeah. I finally installed this, and this is going to give you specifically anxiety, Liam. So previous to this, because I couldn't work out how to operate the case that I had, I just had the hard drives just loose, just in the case, like balanced. Yeah,
you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
I've done that.
No, you don't do it with the hard drives. You do it with the solid state disk. It's fine. It's not recommended, but it's fine.
Worse.
Are you talking about goddamn spinning platter hard drives just sitting there?
Yes.
Is that what you were telling me you were doing?
I'm about to get worse.
I'm going to fly across the Atlantic and kill you.
It's fine. It has gyroscopic stability.
It's about to get so much worse because I got in the corner where the computer case is, which looks like shit, by the way. It's like super dusty because it's got like a big Crapco logo sticker on there. I go through like all of the like tangle of cables. I install the new hard drive, and I realize, oh, there's a bracket in the front of the case for mounting hard drives. So I
that's it. I'm done. I'm done. I'm not recording this podcast anymore. Have a good night.
So I put the hard drives in the bracket on the one side, and I screw them all down on the one side. And I go, oh, these are like canting over pretty far. Where's the other side? Other side doesn't reach the other side of the hard drive. It's just sitting there way out. Like, so I need like a 3-inch long set of screws, or like it moves or something. But right now,
how is it not
because my legs got tired and I was exhausted. the way that it currently is now, the way that I am coming to you, it's screwed in on one side and it's drooping over, like fucking hanging off the screws.
I'm gonna fuck it. The
bits are just sliding off the fucking disc.
So
it makes some alarming noises
in my life that is organized. Yeah, I bet it does. The one thing in my life that is organized is my computer, and I just how after all these years working together, could you stab me in the back like this? I am so upset. Please give me a moment. Because at least with Roz, I sort of expect new levels of like weird shit.
Mm-hmm.
You, I expect better.
I know that I'm like, I have eldest daughter syndrome for this podcast, and I'm the sensible one in a lot of ways. That does not apply to the way in which I organize my own computer. That shit is like Gormenghast. I've had this for like 15 years, and like whenever something breaks, I just change it, and then it like goes on top of that. I got like fucking 16 external hard drives, like fucking 4 keyboards plugged into this thing. There's like did like a sort of like a wall of USB hubs. I don't know what to do about it, and frankly, I'm scared. Right? It scares me. It scares the shit out of me. It works. It allows me to like record and make money somehow. And I'm very frightened. Even more so now that if I touch it, everything will break.
So, listeners, in contrast,
yours is in like a clean room. Yours is pristine.
So here's the thing. I'm going to admit to something that I've never told anyone, but those close to me know. My cable management is a goddamn nightmare atrocity. I would have been prosecuted at Nuremberg for the things I do to cable management. I will say the server is very well organized because it sort of has to be, because there's no margin for error in terms of like 14 hard drives right all next to each other. But if you like see my setup right now, I use a Fractal Design case. I can't remember the one right now, but it's the big Airflow one. That is organized pretty well, but that's only because I have tempered glass on the side, so anyone can see in and look at my shame.
I do too, but I don't care.
Highly recommend it.
The way that the hard drive cable came with this is I just have like 4 SATA things, like 4 SATA outlets, like daisy chained together, and like
I do that in the server. The server has like many multiples of hard drive cables just on
like
various like SATA adapters. Yep.
And don't even get me started on my audio setup, which is I got the XLR mixer. It sits there gathering dust, doing exactly what it's supposed to. I have it set up exactly the way I like it. And then Nate Bethay goes, your audio sounds too good. I need worse audio. I need the like, you're sending me the like sort of cropped versions of your photos. I need the big raw files. So like, here is a new mixer. Here is how to install it. And I go, yes, I will do that. A month later, I'm like, I still haven't, because I'm scared. I'm scared that if I touch anything, everything is going to explode. So that's the battle of like the forthcoming weeks of my life, is working up the courage to install this new fucking mixer.
I believe in you.
So we have a news item.
What? No, fuck that. Victoria, how's your computer case organized?
Yeah.
Well, so I'm an ex-programmer who is now a writer and photographer. So it's an atrocity, because I purposely all computers are my enemy, and therefore I regard them with as much resentment as possible, and I refuse to do anything kind for them. So I don't even know what CPU is currently in my computer, because my old one died like 3 weeks ago, and I got it replaced with something a friend sent me for free. And so I literally, like, I worked at NASA as a software engineer, and I literally am like, I don't know, it runs Photoshop.
That's ignorance is the best approach to this sort of thing. Otherwise, you are driven slowly to madness.
Yeah, that's why I don't program anymore.
Don't blame you.
So the Supreme Court has decided that employers can sue unions for lost product.
That's pure fucking evil, dude.
In Glacier Northwest versus International Brotherhood of Teamsters Local 174, basically, Glacier Northwest is this concrete company. It had some labor issues. The Teamsters
feelings hurt.
Yeah, the Teamsters went on strike at a time that management knew that they were going to go on strike, but they decided to make a big batch of concrete anyway. Long story short, here is a bunch of trucks. They went out to deliver the concrete, and then they came back when the strike was called. And they just parked them running in the company parking lot, right? And with a bunch of wet concrete in them. Management had to go out and empty the trucks themselves. That they dump about 150 cubic yards of concrete. That's probably $20,000 in destroyed product, whatever. But Glacier tries to sue them for, you shouldn't have mixed when you knew the strike was going to happen, you shouldn't have mixed.
Are these the trucks in question?
No, I just Googled a bunch of concrete trucks with flags on them because I thought it was funny.
I was about to say.
So, Glacier tries to sue them for intentionally destroying property, but they can't do it. The National Labor Relations Board is supposed to determine those things. The Supreme Court takes up an appeal of an appeal of an appeal and affirms their right to sue the union for lost product. And this is going to be pretty ugly if you strike in any facility where the product goes bad,
which is all of them in one way or another.
In like all of the like I don't know, a slaughterhouse, that's not going to be very good. Meat packing in general, you effectively can't go on
any
strike
sort of
now.
Food industry,
if you're all the food industry, agriculture, even. I mean, my God.
You ever think about how that dude that was like gonna go and assassinate Brett Kavanaugh and like went to his house to assassinate him, and then outside his house changed his mind because he got anxiety and like handed himself into the cops? You ever think about that? You ever think about how Ruth Bader Ginsburg refused to resign for 8 years and then immediately after doing that officiated a wedding where she got COVID and died?
Yes. And then you know what else? This was an 8-1 decision.
Oh. Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks. Who was the one dissent?
Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Okay, well, thanks.
I mean, it's almost as if, and pardon me for doing a bit of Marxist analysis here, but it's almost as if the law is supporting a bourgeois ideology, and when the material facts clash with the ideology, the ideology wins.
It's crazy how that works.
The law and its majestic equality prevents both the rich and the poor from striking.
I am gonna light. No, I'm learning. Pure fucking evil. Abolish the Supreme Court. String them up it doesn't matter. Y'all know what I'm gonna say.
You could start dumping your bad batches at the front of the Supreme Court.
At the Supreme Court, yes.
Until they're stuck in there.
They're swallowed by concrete.
The thing. They do it in the Netherlands and France and shit. Is whenever the bourgeois get angry and whenever farmers go on strike or whatever, the first thing they do is turn the slurry spreaders on government buildings.
As well they should.
For the wrong reasons, but it's
no loads refused.
Yeah, that's right. The Supreme Court building looks like shit anyway.
Cover it in poop.
Mm-hmm.
That is the best form of protest you can do, is covering stuff in poop.
Yes.
The IRA did it, and we got the Good Friday agreement out of it. So cover things in poop. The dirty protest,
but
yes.
Covering yourself in poop, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I
believe they also smeared it. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Right. Well, the important thing is, you know what we think about this. It's what you might call an intellectual lacuna, right? Where we know what we think about this, but we cannot say what we think about this. So
yeah. In other
I'm being censored.
News, so they've arrested a bunch of people for posting bail in the Stop Cop City protests.
Yeah. So about your ability to protest, don't get too excited about that, poop or otherwise.
I've already shit myself with an anticipation.
What's going to happen is, as I understand it, if anybody, if any little network of activists or whatever wants to do anything nice for you to help facilitate your protest, for instance posting bail for you, the state attorney general and the county attorney or whatever will come together to arrange to have SWAT raid your house, and then have you arrested on widely and immediately publicized charges of fraud and organized crime, just to totally discredit you financially.
What?
Yeah, cool. No, they took three leaders of the I think it's the Atlanta Solidarity Fund.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the name of it. Yeah. And they arrested them on RICO, basically, saying that they had done widespread charity fraud by running a bail fund.
What?
And it's the lawyers are all like, this is insane.
It doesn't matter. They don't have to prove it. It's just it's prosecutorial and police harassment because
and the thing also that's the concerning thing here is that there's already been what basically looks like a protester execution. There's not obviously ever going to be any proof of this, but there.
They straight up killed that guy.
Yeah. That person was on their knees and riddled with bullets through all of their body when they were murdered by cops while protesting without any weapons on them. Huh? Yeah. No, I mean it was awful. And then they've already charged 40 people with terrorism. Basically as a means for protesting, they've charged them with domestic terrorism so that they can't post bail and can't leave jail.
That's convenient.
Yeah, and so and the judge that went and heard all the bail hearings, even legal observers they had kept locked up, from what I remember. So it's already been wow, that's some really fascist stuff. I mean, the whole thing that they're trying to build here too is literally this 80-acre
the cop megaplex
training facility. Yeah, it's basically how to quell a riot in a training facility. I think it's built on protected, environmentally important land. The whole thing is a nightmare, and this is the next level of the nightmare can actually get worse. So this is just I don't know what's going to happen with this. I said that the three people that were charged are going to be in front of a judge on Thursday, and they probably will deny them bail, and everybody's going to be too scared to bail them out anyway. Even if they were allowed to be bailed out, because
idea, after all,
apparently running a bail fund is now illegal.
Yeah.
Hey, can we do it? That'd be pretty funny.
Possibly. I don't know.
We'd have to probably go down there and then get arrested.
There's your problem.
That would be pretty funny if we did that.
We have to become bail bondsmen and women.
Yes, just give us your death rattling 1997 Chevy Cavalier, and you too can be free on bail.
I think this is maybe not our best business decision, but I do think it would be funny. So
it's we make business decisions based on what would be funny. You know this.
True. I'm gonna unscrew one of the 4 screws holding those hard drives up.
Please don't. Please don't. I'm begging you not to.
Also, they also recently determined that this thing is massively over budget, and the initial projections of costs were a lie. It's going to be $200 million. So there's more money for that. Don't worry. Anyway, there's the thing is
facility.
I suggest this as a news item, and I have absolutely nothing that I can even imagine riffing on with it, because it is literally one of the most bleak things I've seen in a while. I mean, it is the most concerning step towards complete fascism, where you cannot even defend those accused, that has happened in quite a bit, I think.
Yeah.
So, yay, America.
Yeah. Hooray for the justice
great state
system
of Georgia.
Hooray for
such that it is. Yeah, of course.
I thank God for Robert Mueller and the rule of law.
I mean, I'm philosophical about this. The criminal justice system of Georgia has been used for worse before, and doubtless will be used for worse subsequently. It's just another long step, and I don't know if it's a road to something or a road from something. I don't fucking know. It's just bad,
Yeah, it's just pretty bad. Pretty bad. I think that stuff should work better than it does.
I would like to improve society somewhat, and I have this manure spreader that
you live in society.
That is now a crime, so stop doing that. You're not allowed to even want to try to improve society. That's actually illegal. Yeah. Anyway, in much more concerning news, I'm certain that a couple of right-wing dipshits went and gave college commencement speeches and were yelled at. So free speech is over because of that.
Yeah,
this is unconcerning. Please don't pay attention to it.
Congratulations and well done to the Antifa thugs who listen to our podcast for shutting down freedom of speech and legitimate debate. You know, we salute you and all of your efforts.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's grim, isn't it?
That was. Yeah. That was the goddamn news.
All right, we got to talk about what is an engine.
What is engine?
It sucks, it squeezes, it bangs, and it blows. That's what it is.
I should call her.
Just losing the thread a bit. Yeah, it sucks, it squeezes, it fucks. It does ass to mouth. Not really sure what that has to do with propelling the car, but it's in there.
Is it cool if I go into this, or Justin, do you want to take it? I feel weird doing the what is the engine without letting Justin do it. That's my comfort voice, is Justin explaining things to me.
No, this is all you, Victoria. I don't know what happened to Roz.
Just like entirely marooned you on this one. Like,
all right, well, specifically, we got to discuss what a diesel engine is. So it's a modified combustion motor. It was invented in 1893 and first implemented in 1896. It is the most thermally efficient method of combustion motor that we've ever developed. And so the thing is like in a traditional like gasoline combustion motor, there is a spark plug. Mm-hmm. So something actively ignites the fuel that is put into the cylinder. The resulting explosion shoves the piston down, and then you get a power stroke. And that's how you propel things.
Oh, but then this one German dude like read enough thermodynamics to go, wait a second, we don't need this shit, because if you like squeeze hard enough, the thing just explodes on its own. Except he was kind of
if you get that if you get that gorilla grip coochie, you too.
Yes, yeah. The piston, but like, but his original theory of this was wrong. By the way, he like misunderstood the thermodynamics behind it, and like his original design, which he patented, would have required like this huge pressure, like, you know, that was totally unsustainable in order to like, you know, work with the temperature and generate the temperature required. When he found out that was wrong and like figured out what he needed to do to make it work, he changed it. But because his patent was already in, he didn't tell anyone. So for the whole time he was alive, the insistence was that the diesel engine worked by magic, which I really like as a piece of like legal history.
I appreciate that.
It's like, no, it does work by the like thing that's been discredited. Do not check. Do not open it up and check.
Hey, that's proprietary.
Yes,
hey.
Yeah, literally.
Hey, close it up. Close it up.
But yeah, so instead of a spark, basically it just pressurizes things. Pressurizes a high cetane fuel, in this case diesel fuel.
Nice heavy
to the point
fuel,
where
like really gross sort of like you know, like bunker fuel. Hey, but the good news is it means it
tastes much worse.
It tastes much worse. It doesn't like explode as readily outside of an engine, which is fun. It doesn't burn as readily as gasoline does.
No, and it's also like because it's based on just like compression and heat, it's actually like stupidly efficient. And it's also it's interesting too, because you can just turn on your intake and it just gets constant air. You only adjust power through adjusting the amount of fuel that's actually dumped into the cylinder, because it doesn't have to mix or anything. There's no like, you don't have to aerosolize it and get thorough like combustion or whatever. It just explodes when you pressurize it and make it hot. So it's like relatively mechanically simple in that regard.
Apart from the fuel injection,
and they also
and which Mercedes will later apply to a petrol engine.
Yeah, that sounds about right. They would do that.
Yeah.
And then also there's no electronics required to operate them. So like I've owned two diesel cars in my life. The first one I owned was a 1983 Mercedes-Benz 300 turbo diesel, the W123.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I bought it from a dude who lived literally in a swamp in Texas, who was listening to Alex Jones when I rolled up to buy it. He only owned diesels, mostly Mercedes-Benzes, because he was insistent that if there was a nuclear war, the resulting EMPs would still allow him, like, they wouldn't affect his diesels. He could still drive
Buddy,
around.
it will not matter. I can promise you that.
Yeah, he lived, like, very close to Houston, next to a bunch of, like, very strategic oil refineries.
Yeah.
So he also had, like, an InfoWars sticker on the car when I bought it from him. It was the worst
that
car
off in the driveway.
It was the worst car I've ever owned by a large margin, and that is an alarming statement.
As I understand it, as a woman who has never bought a car, every dude that you buy a car from is the weirdest dude in the world.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. The guy I bought the replacement engine for the van from rolled up in a Cummins swapped Chevy truck.
Fuck yeah.
Oh my God.
And he had, it's going to get worse. He had a rear window sticker that said, "Fuck off, we're full" with the United States. And it was 7 a.m. and he's just packing a huge lip on my parents' front lawn. Just like, it's the motor, huh? Like, lowers it down with the winch. He's like, "All right, see ya, have a good day." And I'm like, what the? It's 7:12 a.m., my guy.
You're like there in a bathrobe. It's like, what?
Oh, man.
But yeah, so preppers and general maniacs love these.
Well, another reason
also,
why
like,
preppers love them is they run on fucking anything. You can throw, I don't know, potatoes in there.
You can convert them to run on biodiesel, but the injectors are really finicky, and we can get to that. But you can't just like throw a bunch of burger grease.
Let me have my dreams.
Let
me have my dreams. I want a
let's fucking go.
Going from the Fryer towards the Mercedes, like.
Right, of course.
You can have you can have it run 2-stroke too, and then you get more power and more pollution, which is good for you.
Yeah, you got to get that 2-stroke with that Gorilla Grip piston.
Right. That's when
the other one upside I want to mention. The other upside is that because of the compression and the sheer amount of force involved in shoving the piston down after this, and the high compression ratios diesels run at, these usually make a fuck ton of torque. So, like, if you ever look at the specs for, like, a normal car, it's like, it makes 100 horsepower and 90 foot-pounds of torque. If you look at the specs for a diesel car, it's like, it makes 90 horsepower and 400 foot-pounds of torque.
It's why you use, like, big ones of these in, like, trucks, lorries, like, you know, the like, big trains, ships. Yep.
Submarines.
Well, another thing about submarines that's very helpful is that with diesel, you can, charge, like, using to charge a battery, then you use the battery, and then once you invent a snorkel, you can just, like, have an air-breathing engine, have a diesel engine underwater, and just stick a big fucking exhaust out the top.
I like the idea of inventing a snorkel. It's like, it took us a long time to figure it out, but you could have a long
stick a pipe
in a
down
submarine context, the snorkel had to be invented.
Well, guys, what if we had a tube? It'll never work.
No, because like the invention of the submarine snorkel was like a long and somewhat fraught process that started for some reason in the Netherlands. And one thing that it did fairly reliably was rupture the entire crew's eardrums.
Be racist.
Because
that sounds about right. That sounds like
you gotta have a cover on it. You gotta have a cover on it to stop seawater getting in. Right, but if you like fuck up in any way, then what happens is that you get like the pressure just like dumps in or out, and everybody's ears pop throughout the whole length of the boat as it, like, you know, all of the air fucking shoots in down this snorkel. This has been Submarine Facts with Alice.
Yes.
my favorite part of any episode.
I just got a text that reads, "Was King George III the one during the Revolution?" Maybe we don't need school.
Yes.
Maybe we don't need school anymore. Maybe we don't need school.
They made that whole musical about it with Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I don't. That's the example I was forced to use. I'm not pleased. I'm not happy. Please continue, Victoria, while I imagine this Gorilla Grip Coochie Diesel just sucking me dry.
That's all the upsides. There are no other upsides. The next slide is absolutely going to be an Alice special interest one, because I don't really know a lot about the creator of the diesel, but Alice seems to.
This is our special boy, Rudy Diesel.
Rudy Diesel.
And Rudy Diesel.
Diesel.
Very into ska.
The thing about... fucking hell. The thing about Rudolph Diesel or rather, the thing about like making engines back in the day is that it was like making IEDs is now. Like your work will blow up in your face many times. This dude nearly died when like one of his engines blew up, because this is one of the things about diesels, because they have so much like more pressure going on. They have to be built much more like solidly, more rigidly, if you will. And so you end up with these like these big heavy overbuilt cases, because if you don't and you try and build them like a regular engine, they kill you. But the thing that I want to mention,
these things are like the size of a room, and they make like 5 horsepower.
Yeah,
but also infinite torque.
It just pulls something very slowly.
Torque forever.
But,
yes.
Yeah.
But the thing that I want to mention about Rudolf Diesel is that he was maybe murdered. He was like it was 1913, and like, you know, submarine diesels and marine diesels particularly were like very much in vogue. He was like selling these around. And then he gets on the SS Dresden to go to England to go and meet with Royal Navy officers to discuss selling them diesels to put in their submarines. He has dinner, and then he just disappears overnight.
What?
He goes off the side of the boat. They find all of his like clothes and shit like neatly folded in his cabin. And like it's sort of a matter of debate whether or not he was like murdered, maybe by the Germans, maybe by like big oil,
like a trade or industrial espionage thing.
Possibly.
I was murdered by big oil because they didn't want to have to sell the oil to people with the engines. They wanted to keep it all for themselves.
They were like early adopters of the like keep it in the ground movement, you know.
From what I've read of Rockefeller, I'm currently reading a biography of him, and I will say I would believe that. I would believe that about John D. Rockefeller. An absolutely fucking lunatic Puritan weirdo.
The other contention is that like maybe he was depressed and like his finances were fucked up, and he like committed suicide and then kind of made it look as spooky as possible on the way out.
I do kind of respect that.
It's a great move, right? Between that and the insanely weird eyeglasses setup he's got on here, and the mustache, I really admire the dude.
This guy looks like more of a statement than a question sort of guy.
Yeah, but that's the kind of guy that you need sometimes. Also, I will say they found his body, but in like classic early 20th century fashion, they found his body at sea, and they were like, ew, this is too gross. Go through his pockets and then kick him back over the side. Which is what they did.
That's not dignified.
They like found his wallet and then they just put him back in. So it's like, that's how we know he died for sure. It's just
well, I imagine we would probably know he died for sure because he would be very, very old by now.
He was already like, when was he born? Like fucking 1858. So yeah, he would be pretty old by now.
Yeah, that guy's probably dead. Yeah.
But that's the life and times and the death of Rudolf Diesel, which I just wanted to put in because it's so fucking weird.
In many ways, he was kind of an engineering disaster himself.
That's right. It's an episode within an episode. Next slide, please.
I have nothing to add to that. I got no clue. Yeah. The downsides of diesel engines. Now that he's dead, we can shit all over his invention. So obviously people like to roll coal with them. This is actually bad.
Really?
But that
pay
means
money
your
to make your diesel engine worse.
Yes. Yeah, it literally means that like your truck is not working right, but people like to actually put tunes on them that lead to incomplete combustion, and like they run super rich just because they can. So they waste a bunch of their own money to pollute the earth because they think that this owns the libs.
To be fair, it does.
That's the only reason that they do it.
In that, like, if you're driving behind one of these, smells like benzene.
Yeah. And generally speaking, diesels are not super clean. They release different particulate emissions than the gasoline motors, but they're all bad.
Yeah,
and there's there are modern solutions for this, but like in the context of the Oldsmobile diesel in like the 70s, they had just invented like not dumping raw sewage into rivers. So like
that's coming back in Britain.
This was advanced environmentalism.
The other thing I will say,
that's right,
is that the sort of the modern problem that requires a modern solution of like diesels also being very polluting is twofold. It's to like sell it as, well, the diesel is more efficient, which means you're like putting less, contaminants out into the environment. So that's like better in the long run. And the other answer is to cheat, as VW did, by installing emissions defeat devices that just lie about how much emissions the engine is like.
I knew when they were being tested.
Yeah, because
Yes.
Ultimately, that the situation with diesel emissions is you get a lot more sulfur dioxide, you get a lot more nitrous oxides, and getting rid of those is very difficult because you need very, very complete combustion, and that's not necessarily something a diesel engine wants to do. So, these days you have these like modern solutions, like either you put a urea solution in the engine diesel exhaust fluid, it's piss. That's one option. The other one is you do diesel exhaust recirculation, where you put some of the exhaust back in the engine. That lowers the temperature of combustion, but it also increases the wear on the engine. And that one is that one is also not very good. But yeah, when you're talking about environmentally efficient diesels, you have two options, which is drink the piss or huff the farts.
Lie.
And
also, fart huffing. There is another quirk of diesel exhaust recirculation, which I don't believe was ever actually tested. But this was a plan, sort of like pre-Gulf War era, when people were like, "Oh man, we're sending a lot of troops out in the desert, and all of their trucks and shit are diesel, apart from like Abrams, which has like a jet turbine on it." What if you could like re-isolate like clean drinking water out of their own diesel exhaust, which sounds like a fucking nightmare, but it was something that was seriously considered by the US military, and nothing came of it because it's a dreadful idea.
You'd get almost nothing. You would get almost nothing.
Here's your thimble of water per day. Like,
yeah, exactly. We got this out of a whole tank of diesel.
Yeah, so I mean, it's worth noting that because of all of the reasons that we just explained, diesels usually smell like shit.
They sound terrible.
They sound like you dropped a sack of cinder blocks into a clothes dryer. That is the best analogy I could come up with.
Some people really like
blue
big ones. Oh God, really?
Yeah, that's why I dropped. I blue screened out.
What you got to do is you got to go into your computer case and you got to like unscrew a bunch of the hard drives on one side. It'll make it run so much more reliable.
And it took Audacity with it, so I don't have my local. I'm restarting.
Okay. Well, the Zencaster's, gonna do something.
Hopefully gonna
anyway,
work.
Some people like the sound of a diesel engine, and those people are insane. But particularly like big truck engines.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is if you're one of the key phrases in the automotive industry, of course, is NVH, noise, vibration, and harshness. Generally speaking, you want less of these. Diesels actually just create all of those on their own. So for like passenger cars, they're not really a great choice if you don't enjoy the feeling of your car rattling itself to death at every traffic light.
But if you want to own the libs, though.
I mean, that's why they're used in like pickup trucks and stuff. Because until recently, pickup trucks were actually for work instead of for like urban cosplayers who wanted to pretend they were John Wayne. So yeah, they was kind of limited for that. Your injectors, as mentioned earlier, need to be super precise because fuel control is how you keep the engine running and how you adjust how powerful it's how you adjust your throttle. Your throttle position, adjusts fuel injection. And so if they are imprecise or contaminated, that's bad. It's also great if, because of the way that the fuel influences how your throttle is at, if you have an external source of fuel, such as, aerosolized gasoline or diesel or whatever, you can get a runaway diesel.
Oh, no.
So basically, your intake just sucks up fuel mist, and now you have no control over the diesel, and it will just continue running until it literally explodes. This actually caused the 2005 Texas City refinery explosion.
Huh.
There was they had a leak at the plant, and there was a diesel truck parked nearby, and the diesel truck turned into a runaway, and it exploded, and then that caused the rest of it.
I know all internal
that would actually be a good disaster at some point.
Well, in this case, it's an external combustion engine, but that's crazy. I don't like an engine that can hang fire like that, you know?
Be a runaway, yeah.
Yeah, you can't actually, and you can't like do anything about it. So like if you're, if your injectors are for some reason just dumping maximum fuel, you can just basically end up driving your car directly into a wall because there's really not much you can do at that point. You actually need a special solenoid to turn off most diesel engines because you can't just they will just keep running at idle. So you have to like actively shut them off. And so if that fails also, which my Mercedes-Benz did, then you have a problem.
You just have the car that drives itself to death.
Yeah, it's
Elon.
That happened
the diesel car craves its own demise.
I want to say that happened to my granddad's Yugo.
A hero.
I don't remember if the Yugo is diesel or not. Yes.
I actually like those. Another problematic opinion of mine.
Yeah, see, I
did a whole story. Alice helped me with it. I did a whole story for Jalopnik like last year about like Tito's Yugoslavia and like the dream of Yugoslavian communism and the Yugo, and it was like this big emotional piece. And I think like 6 people read it.
It was really good. Go find it and read it now. But yeah, I enjoyed being the uncredited like communism research assistant.
Alice Caldwell Kelly, communism consultant.
That's right.
Handing me one of those business cards.
I gotta make a new set of business cards. Fuck.
Hell yeah.
Other downsides of diesels is that because of the compression nature of combustion,
it's got a QR code on it that just goes
to
a YouTube link of the Soviet national anthem.
Your compression ratios are like around 20-1, which is extremely a lot of pressure. And if you do not overbuild the hell out of the engine and make everything incredibly strong, it will explode. Also, if you rev them too high because of the masses moving around, it will also explode.
I enjoy that like hairline crack in the case there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the intake valve, exhaust valve on some diesel engine where it just couldn't handle it. It couldn't hang.
This is why we don't have diesel F1 cars.
It would be
I would pay money to see that, though. I would love to see an event that was like part tractor pull, part F1 race.
I'd watch that. Oh,
there are like diesel. There's like diesel Le Mans cars now, though. Because like Audi was like very into them for a minute, I think.
Because they're willing to crank out at their maximum RPM of 4,000 all day long. They just don't take them any higher than that.
What you could do is you could just have it run at a constant like 2,000 RPM and have it turn a generator, right? And that charges a battery, and then then the electric motors run the car.
Did you invent a fucking reverse hybrid? Like a
yes, exactly. That's what I'm talking about here. The engine runs at maximum efficiency constantly, and the power is delivered as needed. Patent pending.
The hybrid that's like in service of the diesel engine is a really fucking weird idea.
All right, next slide, please. I'm taking over.
Okay.
This is my podcast now.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Thanks. This was a car I reviewed a while ago.
I love it.
Yeah, this is a 75 Honda Civic CVCC. So the second question we have to ask after asking what is a diesel engine is what is Cafe?
It's a place
Cafe
where you get some
was
nice
the corporate
frothy
average.
and you hang out with your friends talking about...
Frothy, really?
I like a milk drink, you know?
Yeah,
that's a word choice there. Where they have nice and frothy and moist cafe.
I mean,
okay, now you've ruined it.
I guess. Like,
I just want my flat white, and I want to be left alone. Thank you.
Lube oils.
Ow, lube oils.
I had a frothy drop, but I don't know. Oh, here it is.
See that a milky, creamy froth is coming out.
Oh,
okay.
Sorry, this is what you get for having two trans women on the same podcast.
I'm fine. You're the one who's being weird about this. I was just referring to like a nice cappuccino or something.
That's fine. You can blame me. I will be the child of Omelus for there's your problem.
I think if there
anyway,
is like if the dynamic of this podcast is it requires one of us to get tortured forever, it's clearly Liam.
Yeah, That's how it feels, baby.
Yep.
Sometimes also Roz.
Yeah, I was about to say, Milkshake just showed up.
Oh, that
he is
bastard.
Frothy and milky. Yeah. No, he just left. Never mind. Doesn't like being called frothy and milky, I guess.
No, he just likes running away from people who love him.
That was your fault.
It was my fault, but that's not the point.
Yep. Liam let Milkshake out.
I did it on
purpose,
actually, to spite you.
Oh, wow. Wow. What a way to find out.
All right, tell me about this beautiful yellow car.
Oh, okay. Corporate average fuel economy standards. The EPA introduced them in 75 when there was no oil because OPEC cut America off. And so the goal was to tell automakers to build fuel-efficient cars. And they do this through manufacturer incentives. So basically, they set a target for your entire vehicle lineup offering for Group MPG. And if you fall below that, then they fine you. So there's no the consumers aren't supposed to see it. The automakers can reach this group economy in any way that they want. This has led to some really funny stuff. So if you remember, like the Aston Martin,
about the Signet.
Yes,
I love the Aston Martin Signet. They put a V12 in one, and they only built one of those. They put a little racing spoiler on it. Yeah, and that to me is the most fun you could have in a car. I really want to drive it.
Yeah, that's like a white whale review for me. I won't lie. Like
someone out
break
there has
into
it.
Aston Martin headquarters.
I think it's like legitimately in private hands too.
Let us have it. Give it to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a fun one. Because like even them regularly were fun because it was just like a Scion IQ that they slapped a mustache grill on.
Excuse me, it wasn't.
And you know they sold it for their fuel economy.
It was a V8, right?
It was a V8, 430 horsepower. In like a little tiny smart car. The thing that I really like about the Aston Martin Signet is it was intended to like do the sort of loophole in this, which is you have one sort of like extremely low low emissions car that like then offsets all of the others even if you don't sell any. But not only did they not sell any, but it wasn't even that cheap because putting all the Aston Martin parts on it, all of those were actually expensive. Like they had the fucking Aston Martin upholstery, they had the Aston Martin grills,
the flowers and shit. It cost 50,000.
Like the dashboard and shit. And so like it was, I imagine, a very nice place to be, like the nicest, most luxurious possible version of a little like city car. But it still costs like a shitload of money.
Yeah, and I think that the US at least has since changed the laws. So like automakers that make below a certain number of cars don't have to meet any CAFE. So like rich people can still buy cars that get 8 miles a gallon and they don't have to worry about paying any fines or their treats are preserved. It's the rest of us that have to contend with it in our market. So the idea, behind all of this was not necessarily build the Signet, but build cars that maybe aren't huge fucking barges that get 30 miles a gallon. So Honda, built the Civic. This is kind of when Honda took off in the US. They had this really novel CVCC engine design that used, it had a pre-combustion chamber, so it had extremely efficient fuel combustion. So its particulate emissions were incredibly low. And it could run on either leaded or unleaded gas because the big problem in the early days of CAFE was that catalytic converters, which used to be, this big, I'm making a very large size with my hands, and very wildly inefficient, would clog on leaded gas. And this was sort of as in the middle of the phase out. So, you weren't, there were fuel shortages already. So like being able to run on both was this huge boon. So Honda took the very smart solution, and this is more or less with the car that started the company in the States. Other companies decided to do things that were a little bit less tricky about it. Next slide, please.
Well, this one's me. So I thought I would contextualize a little bit because we mentioned the oil crisis. That's sort of our setting in terms of time is the 70s, the late 70s after the oil crisis. And one of the things is we've got to go 2 for 2 on American car episodes featuring American manufacturers getting their shit kicked in by VW and panicking. because American manufacturers get their shit kicked in by VW. VW's been making diesels since like 76. In particular, you have this like this Rabbit here with a very, very efficient diesel engine, which has very good mileage, and you can see that they're selling it on that basis. And once again, the quirky fucking think different ass ads, which Americans, it seems, love, at least in the 70s. And so they buy this instead of, the giant barge. And this scares the absolute fuck out of every American car maker. That's
on the note of Volkswagen ad campaigns. Do you remember the Unpimp Your Ride ones?
Oh god.
Oh yes.
That was actually a formative thing in my. So when I was a kid, because I was extremely straight and heterosexual and cisgender, I was like a 4-year-old boy that absolutely adored Volkswagen Beetles in the most outrageous colors you could get them in. And so like I had like VW advertisements on the brain all the time. And so I remember that one coming out, and I was like, "Oh my god, GTIs are cool now." I should get one of these later on.
Like folding her arms, like GTIs are cool.
GTIs have always been cool.
I'm not.
Yeah, that's why I've had a weird. Again, that one falls into the category of fetish because I'm kind of ashamed that I like them so much.
Again, see, like you're like, oh, I have a couple of like problematic car fetishes, like like VWs, as opposed to the Hitler car. I mean, I guess a VW kind of is the Hitler car, but
VW it kind of is the Hitler car,
in a less proximate sense, let's say. I can't imagine Hitler being driven around in like an open top VW. Like that's kind of fucked to me.
No, he'd make one of his aides do that.
Yeah.
They're like 4 or 5 places down in the motorcade, and the quality of cars drops off
like the Kugelwagen sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just sometime after the front of the motorcade is passed, you start just seeing Volkswagen Beetles, with increasingly small ones with increasingly large men in them.
You're doing the sort of like Nazi version of Kremlinology, where you're trying to like judge where people are in the Politburo based on whether they have like a Zeal or a Chaika. You're like
exactly
whether you have a VW or a Mercedes. God, that's a cursed alternate history timeline. Anyway, that's my little like my little Hitler car fact. I wanted to show off a quirky little VW ad. Which is the best mileage chicken.
They've always been good. That's the thing.
Yeah. Lemon.
They've always been good. I saw somebody who actually had done a room in their house with like old VW ads, and it was actually a very cute interior design decision. I actually quite liked it. So that has my stamp of approval for decoration.
It's interesting how many
but
like
next slide, we're gonna get to something way worse.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hi, it's Justin. So this is a commercial for the podcast that you're already listening to. People are annoyed by these, so let me get to the point. We have this thing called Patreon, right? The deal is you give us $2 a month, and we give you an extra episode once a month. Sometimes it's a little inconsistent, but it's $2. You get what you pay for. It also gets you our full back catalog of bonus episodes, so you can learn about exciting topics like guns, pickup trucks, or pickup trucks with guns on them. The money we raise through Patreon goes to making sure that the only ad you hear on this podcast is this one. Anyway, that's something to consider if you have $2 to spare each month. Join at patreon.com/WTYP pod. Do it if you want. Or don't. It's your decision, and we respect that. Back to the show.
Oh, now talk about different visual languages in advertising. The last one had the kind of like font and like funny copywriting thing that like now all marketing is kind of trying to bring back. This, not so much. Big magazine spread of check it out.
19 different models. Why the fuck do you even make 19 different models?
They look so different, right?
They're all the same car.
You need to be a General Motors phrenologist to even tell them apart.
Yeah.
Oh, my GM has a Slavic brain pan.
Oh no.
Yeah, so Honda did the very efficient pre-combustion chamber and smart use of small cars. VW has these little efficient diesels that putter around town. General Motors doesn't have anything like this because they've been building giant cars since roughly World War II, and they don't know how to stop. They are addicted.
They love it.
Love a barge.
Yeah, they literally if they look at a car that is not body on frame, they kind of pull up their skirt and jump on a chair like a 50s housewife that just saw a mouse.
If your car doesn't cant over 45 degrees like my hard drives when you take a slight turn, what even is the point?
Yeah, they need to have
a computer case that has body roll.
Stop it.
It's actually held up by the gyroscopic stability of the hard drive.
Stop it, God damn it.
When all things stop spinning, it falls over.
The other bracket on the other side is too far away, and it won't. Do they make wider hard drives? I don't know what.
Did you install a 2.5-inch drive?
I don't know what that means.
I loathe you sometimes when you do these things to me.
You need a bigger hard drive. You need
one of
something
the 5 1/4-inch old school IBM ones. Yes.
Yeah.
And you could use a laser disc as a hard drive.
I might get in there and get a piece of wood or something just to prop it up. That might work. Oh, yeah, that might work.
Yeah.
I'm so angry.
I think it's about the sort of distance off of the bottom of the frame that I could use an old Coke can or something.
I don't want to be
inventing new sources of static to introduce to your hard drive situation. I love that.
That's how I used to prop up my air conditioner.
Yeah, see, Justin and I are of one mind on this one.
Yeah, but I wasn't. I was less worried about the air conditioner than I would be about hard drives.
Fine.
We couldn't figure out the gap.
I think I might have some plywood if you need it, Alice.
Thank you. That's perfect. Yeah. I'll get some measurements to you.
Shush. You can ship some plywood internationally.
That's efficiency, baby.
$200 of shipping for one 2x4.
All right, so tell me about their 19 different models somehow.
I was about to say, I think we're here to talk about cars.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
Time. We got 10 slides.
We have many more than 10 slides.
I wasn't paying
attention. So 73, 74, OPEC, cuts America off, and GM has to decide how they're going to pass this new slate of, cafe legislation that's coming up, and also not make cars that get 8 miles a gallon so people actually buy them. So they think to themselves diesel, in the 70s, the regulations were a lot less strict for emissions, so they could still pollute, which was important. They inherently get better fuel efficiency, and, they're not anything crazy expensive to make. GM already makes diesels. So they go to their truck lineup, and all those are huge and disgustingly dirty. They still won't pass 70s emissions, and they're just wildly huge for a car like this. Even these barges would not hold one of those motors.
So an Oldsmobile
they go to their European
engine. Actually, that sounds pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, that would be pretty good, actually.
Yes, they go to GM Europe with Opel and Vauxhall and whatever. I don't know what the hell Europe has, and then they pull over some of their small diesel engines that are in the coupes and stuff over there, and the engines are actually not powerful enough to move an Oldsmobile. So they have to. So there's two options here. They can either make the car smaller, which is obviously not going to happen. That's for pussies.
Make the engine bigger.
There we go. Liam is correct. So what they do is they take the 5.7 liter V8 that they've been building since 1967. That is basically, it's the General Motors engine. It is the Chevy 350. It is God's own motor. And they're just what if we just convert this to run on diesel instead of building a whole new engine? This will be fine.
Force dieselification to this.
Yes.
Oh, we threw away all of your gasoline engine.
Diesel. Wear this dress. Yeah. Diesel. Force fem us.
Diesel sort of the maid dress of internal combustion engines.
Yes.
Liam, you okay?
Yeah, I'm just being gross, really.
You're like getting your revenge for the, hard drive.
I just what I don't understand, right, is that there are. I'm picturing. I need to actually just see a picture of your setup.
No, because I'm not showing you how I live.
Send it to me.
No,
send it to me.
No,
because I think I know what the problem. But like, I don't want to help you because I'm so upset. Like, I want the hard drive to just come down like the Twin Towers, and just wipe out all your save files because that's what you deserve.
That's sure.
I don't understand why you do this to me when I show you nothing but love. You're just like, haha, this'll upset Liam. Fuck him.
Listen, I don't know what you want me to do. It doesn't meet with the screws on the other side.
I see, that's my problem. How does it not meet?
It just doesn't. It doesn't fit. It's
I think you're using a 2.5-inch drive that you think is a 3.5-inch drive.
I don't know what that means.
I think, okay, so laptops use 2.5-inch drives. And most SSDs come in 2.5-inch drives.
Hold on a minute. I'm going to go and I'm going to look on the receipt from the hardware, the hard drive store to see what I bought. Because I don't remember.
What, Roz?
I went to the hard drive store.
Micro Center, baby.
No, this is a 3.5-inch drive.
Yeah.
And it doesn't reach?
There's a good inch on one side of it.
Oh, you know why? Because you're trying to put it in the 5.5-inch drive bay, Alice.
Well, that's the only drive bay that there is. Should I just let it be loose on the case?
Get an adapter. Get an adapter. Get a 3.5-inch to 5.25-inch adapter. They sell them. They're $12. You have the money. Do what I say.
Fuck. All right, 3.5-inch adapter
to 5.25-inch, 3.5 to 5.25-inch adapter. They sell them. I know they do because I've had to use them in server builds.
Okay.
Now, what about cars?
What about cars? No, you're being held captive.
I'm sorry.
You don't have any other plans. Shut up.
I genuinely, Roz, I've never had more respect for your job than I do right now.
Oh, it's impossible. Yeah.
I don't know how you keep this podcast even remotely on track.
He doesn't.
He kind of does though.
I try.
It's incredible. I could never be a podcast wrangler, a podcastrix, if you will. While Alice is finding a hard drive adapter, I'm just gonna the Oldsmobile diesel. The thing actually fucking works. They make a 5.7 liter diesel V8, and in 1978, they take all 19 different models of the Oldsmobile cinematic universe, plop this motor in. It gets 21.4 combined miles per gallon. And the Delta 88 actually moves under its power.
Damn.
And they also sell it in a few Pontiacs, and they even sell it in a Cadillac. Because Mercedes-Benz has diesels.
Do you have sales numbers for those Cadillacs?
I do not.
Oh, bummer.
I got 2 of the adapters. Fuck you.
Thank you. So is the Cadillac, I assume, is launched directly to compete with Mercedes turbo diesels, right?
Yes, absolutely. Of course, it's worth noting there's no turbo anywhere near any of these motors.
That's what I was just going to ask you. I figured they were just like, nope, drop it in, fuck you, you get what you get.
Yeah, I'm actually looking it up right now. Curbside Classic, which is a site I relatively trust for their numbers. They said it sold pretty well. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I mean, apparently, American consumers were big into their Mercedes. Mercedes was the one to really sell the big diesel to them.
That would make sense to me because, gas is $900 million a gallon. Well, it's the 70s, so it's only 45 cents. But that's the equivalent of 90
a big car. You still want big executive mobile.
Right.
So
exactly.
what you do is you invest in some German precision because it's been long enough that your dad might not talk to you for a bit because you bought a Nazi car, and those motherfuckers were shooting at him in the war. But other than that, whatever.
I mean,
and it's worth.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's worth noting if you're a business owner in the 70s and even today, and you want to look like you still belong to America, you do actually still have to buy an American car. Like, I know a guy who, runs an electrical company. I don't know. He's a multimillionaire, and he's only ever driven Jeeps because it would be a bad look for him to get anything that was imported. So, the Cadillac is like, would you like all of the refinement of a Mercedes-Benz diesel? Which, yes.
Yeah, my granddad
if you
would only
like
buy
all of
American.
Yeah.
My granddad would only buy American cars until he bought the Yugo, which was the worst decision imaginable.
Volvo.
No. Then he went back to American cars for a while, which all died on him, and then he got the Volvo. And he never went back.
God bless you, Ross's grandpa, wherever you are, and your insane car purchasing history. My dad had a 1950, a 63 Bel Air that he bought for $12 because the floor had rusted out.
Many such cases.
You don't need the floor.
This saves weight, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this car, was supposed to be. This was going to be how GM moved into the 80s. This was their corporate strategy was actually not fully dependent on this, but this was like a big deal for them. So next slide, please.
All right. There we go.
Thank you. This is actually the car.
It's taking it in the ass.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a fascinating place to put your the fuel tank cap valve thing.
This is pretty erotic, I would say.
Yeah, it's sensual, isn't it? It's very intimate. I feel like I shouldn't be seeing this on like a first date. Like,
no, exactly.
It's very much a great way to avoid speed cameras.
That's true. If you get the sort of James Bond thing,
Oldsmobile diesel,
rotates around to give you like a new license plate,
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is actually how you refuel one of these. This is the one that I actually, had on that trip I took. I rode in it. I didn't actually drive it much, but I rode in it.
This is pretty fucking cool.
And
get that gorgeous shade.
Yeah,
of
I mean,
brown.
it's one of the only ones left for reasons you'll understand very shortly. But they sold 120,000 of these in the first year. Initial surveys of owners showed that they were like overwhelmingly happy with them because they had, the thing that's important to note is, these things sound like shit on the outside. Every time we followed this car, I literally started wheezing. It was the smelliest diesel engine I have ever experienced. It was
if you're on
awful,
the inside of it, you're fine. But like the guy behind you is like,
yeah, the guy behind you is currently debating whether to file a Geneva Conventions complaint against you for illegal use of like respiratory weapons.
Oh, did you get the plate? No, it was flattened down. I couldn't see the plate. Damn, I guess nothing's gonna happen then.
GM really said ACAB.
So yes, but like inside, it's relatively smooth. It's just as comfortable as every other Oldsmobile from the late 70s, which is extremely. It's fucking suede couch with wheels.
My buddy had a vaudeville in high school, and that thing was absolutely stupendous.
It was like
you could have skinned a deer in there.
Yeah, I had a friend with Oldsmobile Cutlass.
Josh Munson had an Oldsmobile Cutlass. He had an '84 Cutlass Supreme, and whenever you turned the stereo on, all the flashers came on too because he wired it wrong. Great car. 2 subwoofers in the back, rattling that fucking thing. I remember that.
It was actually illegal. It was actually illegal to not drive this with an open container.
Oh yeah,
it's just getting pulled over and being like, "Where's your beer?"
Government gonna tell me where I can't smoke as I do laps, as I do donuts in an elementary school parking lot.
You have to smoke in this. Like that upholstery has to be absorbing cigarettes.
It has to be broken in. Yeah, it has to be broken in.
Yeah.
Son, have you been drinking tonight?
Okay.
Why not?
You got a gun? You're gonna need one. I'll be right back.
Oh my god. Yeah, so everybody was actually pretty pleased with them, and they were great cars for drinking.
All right,
and
cool.
driving.
We can end the episode now.
Always drink and drive.
So our
Remember that.
No, we can't. Shut up.
Yeah.
Why don't you improperly mount a hard drive about it?
Maybe I will. Maybe.
So much like Alice's hard drives, GM made some questionable decisions when engineering this device.
Oh no.
So diesel engines are very high pressure. Don't think I could stress that enough in this episode. I think I've said it 50 fucking times. General Motors somehow forgot this.
I have a quick question when you say that. Are they a consistent high pressure, or is it like variable, or is it like just all the time super high pressure?
Well, it's on the
cycles. Like yeah. Okay. Now I feel stupid. But yeah, I was just making sure because it feels like a good way. I think about, and this is probably not related, but obviously the way the Mazda rotary engines would shake themselves apart.
The wankles, yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay. No, tell me.
No, they didn't shake themselves apart. So the problem with the Mazda rotaries was that you have like a shit ton of wear surfaces because it requires spinning the. Yeah, it requires spinning the triangle around the like ovoid chamber.
Fidget spinner ass engine.
Yeah, and then at 80,000 miles, the seal wears out, and you don't have a car anymore.
Yes, exactly, because it needed that for complete combustion. So the original ones were like a graphite seal that was failing within like 20 or 30,000 miles. That actually, there will be a segue for that later. Okay. There's actually both Mazda and this car caused another company to succeed, which is wild. Like where they failed, others saw profit. Because capitalism is the most efficient system. Anyway. In this incredibly efficient capitalist system, General Motors decided to not reinforce the head bolts. No. So when you got an engine, you got your block.
It more rigid.
That's where like the bottom. Yeah. That's where the bottom and all your rotating assembly, your pistons and stuff. And then you got your head where it's like the valve train and all that stuff is.
Sweet.
So they use head bolts to connect the two. They put 4 torque to yield ones on every head, which was not anywhere near enough. And so they would either stretch out, which caused the head gasket to fail, and then coolant and oil mixes inside everywhere it's not supposed to be, and that would destroy your engine. Or they would just snap. Yeah, or they would just snap, and then that would destroy your engine.
The engine just explodes.
So this was, the engine, the head just pops off, you lose all compression, the car is dead. So you just got your 20,000 mile Oldsmobile diesel, and you're probably pretty pissed because it just exploded. So you take it to the dealership, and none of the mechanics there have ever touched a diesel engine in their whole fucking life.
What am I, a farmer?
So
what am I, a truck mechanic? What do you take me for?
So
I'm gonna type a joke.
I do like big block gasoline engines only.
Nah, moments fast. Go on.
Sorry, Liam. I didn't mean
to. You're good.
What's the fucking joke?
I was gonna be. What do I look like? Some sort of John Queer tractor mechanic?
Yeah.
I didn't want to be rude. See?
Oh no. I think about the homophobic truck owner memes all the time. They're like, hey, you can't park your Ford out here because people think it's a gay bar. What does Dodge stand for? Dick on Dick Gay Entertainment.
Dick on Dick Gay Entertainment.
What worries me is how ready Roz was with that.
You construct elaborate rituals of homophobia in order to sexually harass other men. Interesting. So I love a homophobic truck owner meme, and I think that fits entirely within that space.
Somebody has to do some sort of what's an anthropological study called?
Probably an anthropological study.
There's a word for it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if you do it just to one person, it's called stalking. So, don't do that.
I don't know.
Doing anthropological field notes on with your route home.
Ethnography.
Okay, well,
ethnography.
You're doing ethnography on the kind of guys who post Dick on Dick Gay Entertainment or least effeminate Ford owner.
I was about to say, okay, if John Queer is something, what's the one for International Harvester?
International Dick Sucker? I don't know.
International Cum Harvester, dude.
Oh my God, yeah.
We're treading dangerously close to just creating a Ben Garrison comic here. Just labeling everything more and more outlandishly.
Ripping open the top of the harvester to be like, give us the cum.
Do you guys not? It's like
yesterday I had to explain to my dad what I do for a living.
Getting milked by the tractor, yes.
I didn't use the phrase getting milked by the tractor, no.
No, my parents who do listen to this show, what's up? Please don't disown me. I'm gonna have to warn my mom before she listens to this one.
I feel like that's been a theme when I come on this show. I apologize.
Talking about cum, baby. Corinne's on like an important work call, and I'm just like, haha, dicks.
Which technically
I didn't even know the Dodge acronym.
Oh, you didn't know about Dick on Dick Gay Entertainment? I mean, that's like classic.
No.
Like, dumb,
that feels homophobic, honestly.
Oh, it is. It is. It very
no,
much.
I was saying not knowing about it feels also homophobic.
That's also true. Yeah.
I'm taking steps to educate myself this Pride Month. Okay. I'm trying to enter respectful dialogue with my own community.
It's just truck owner just you in a mirror like lecturing yourself on like Dodge Rams.
The GMC stands for gay man's car. What do you this is normal.
Dodge rammed by a dude in a Sonic parking lot. All right, let's
it's the Oldsmobile diesel thing, which is honestly at this point seems less entertaining than coming up with acronyms for automakers. We need one for Oldsmobile. We can get on that in a minute. So the motors would explode after you fixed them. That's more or less the story here, is that dealership mechanics had no idea how to work on a diesel, and they would do the same thing that the factory did, and they'd, torque them.
Do lemon laws exist at this point?
We're getting to that. It's so good. Either way, either your motor explodes or, the head fails very slowly, and so then, your bearings and camshafts all get destroyed. You probably need a new engine. So, next slide, please. Thank you. This is from the road trip, and one of the many times that car overheated,
waiting to blow up and cause a problem.
Yeah. I did not. So we drove a couple of places through the Continental Divide, through some rural areas. This was at the top of a 7,200 foot high mountain pass.
Yeah, it looks like
I did not think this car was going to make it.
It looks like you made it sad.
Yeah, it was an adventure. So we're not done with all the things that'll kill this car, though, because if it was just the head, that wouldn't be an engineering disaster. We've got more. So this car has very rudimentary EGR, exhaust gas recirculation for emissions, which I think Roz talked about earlier, where you kind of put some of the exhaust back into the motor so that it runs a little bit more efficiently.
Yeah, you're huffing the farts. Yeah.
Yes. And so you need diesel rated oil for this because it needs to have a certain composition to not kill the engine. No one carried diesel oil at this time in America because why would you? You could go to a Mercedes-Benz dealership and get some, but
you own an Oldsmobile.
Your average Oldsmobile
you're gonna
guy
feel very insecure. Yeah. All of these dudes have the 1980s executive haircut. They're all wearing pinstriped suits and talking on their early implausibly large cell phones, and they're like, "Yeah, we can sell you some oil for your little American shit box if you like, I guess." You get a complex about that shit,
Yeah, that's fair. I'd get a complex about that.
Mm-hmm. Do you like to party? Me and my wife are looking for a third.
I don't like to party. I like to drink. I like to drink on my deck alone in the dark. Thank you.
You got to use the right oil. If you don't change it frequently enough, and I mean 3,000 miles on the fucking dot. This was not a car you could be like, I'll do it next week. You would get soot buildup if this would kill the car. It did not have a water separator. So at the time, diesel fuel was, for cavemen. And the diesel was really shitty, so it had water mixed in, and it was full of garbage. Water causes the injectors to, and all of the seals, basically throughout the entire fuel system, to slowly eat away at themselves and fail. This this $10 part that GM skimped out on meant that any one, a couple of bad fill-ups and your car is dead.
This kills the car.
So that was that also got a lot of yes. This kills the car. The main bearing cap bolts were too short.
This kills the crab sort of meme. Like with the scissors cut off the front of the car at the engine bay. This kills the car.
So the main bearing cap bolts were too short because they just, I don't know if it was a money thing or a laziness. Like they didn't test this thing at all. They had it ready in 5 years after, because they started developing it in 73. It was on sale by 78. I don't think anybody actually turned one on until they sent it to a dealership. So when the bolt cap shears, then that kills the car. The timing chain was an incredibly robust design that somehow managed to stretch itself out, like fucking al dente spaghetti, keeping the car running.
Does this kill the car?
It would actually live through this. No, it lives. The car lives, but it just runs like shit the entire time because now it's not like time frame.
I found a quote from Hot Rod Magazine, which wrote about this engine, about the typical sort of failure pattern here. And this is about the water separator largely. Any moisture or dirt that would get into the injection pump would cause some of the parts to hang up. This could have occurred for only a second, but that was enough time of an incorrect fuel inject cycle that would allow cylinder pressure to peak and overcome head bolt tension or break the head gasket. The driver may only have sensed a slight shudder, but the damage was already done. The injured head gasket would then let coolant seep into the cylinder, and since there is little quench volume in a diesel, the incompressibility of a liquid was a theory very quickly reinforced. Something had to give, and often it was a piston, connecting rod, or crankshaft. So you get like a little shudder, and then like, a little bit down the road, one of the pistons flies out of the engine into the fucking stratosphere.
Yeah, so, we're painting a really great image of this car that you probably, some of the Cadillacs I think were costing, this was 78. These were like $20,000 cars. I mean, these are not cheap things that you just bought.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting that, this car is, you've put all this effort into buying this car, and it's theoretically as fast as the gas versions, but like the car that we tested was 0 to 60 in, I don't know, 18 seconds. Now, granted, it's old, but it had like 90,000 miles on it. This is the nicest Oldsmobile diesel left in existence because it's probably the only one. And it, 0 to 60 in a time that it's actually slow enough that you really gotta. I mean, it's dangerous merging onto freeways, it basically can't do more than 75 or 80 miles an hour, and it also like will not go up hills at elevation. Like when we stopped this car, took this picture, it was overheating like crazy, doing 30 miles an hour. So that's also, I just want to throw that into the whole picture here. Though. But then we. It wasn't even that good. It was like 160 foot-pounds or something.
Oh my god!
There's a little slide I added here for something I found out about this, by the way. Go to the next slide. So we mentioned like water in your diesel. So this is dry gas, anhydrous alcohol. Because in the 70s, people loved to do this thing that it's not really as common now. People kind of know better, of buying weird additive shit from the gas station and dumping it into their fuel tanks to make the car run more good.
Oh, hell yeah.
This is the way that noted YouTube channel Garbage Time killed his donkey van, was dumping a bunch of like fuel additives and oil additives into the engine, and it just immediately like fucked it. But like in particular, this like dry gas thing, this was something that you would add if you had like water contaminated fuel. The idea is like the alcohol in there bonds to the water, throws it back into solution. Now you don't have water contaminated fuel, it's just fuel. What this does in the Oldsmobile diesel,
the water is
it eats
still
the fuel
there.
pump seals.
Wow.
This kills the car.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
don't dump weird shit into your gas tank. Take it to a mechanic.
You can't tell me. You can't tell me what to do. I went to the gas station. They told me to put a tiger in my tank, so I did. Cram the whole damn thing in there.
Squeezing the whole squeezy bottle of like make car more gooder juice. which contains like 50 warning labels.
Why is it
plastered all up the back into my car.
Yeah.
Why is it belching smoke that smells like the weirdest I've ever smelled anything in my life? Why do I taste metal?
Why is it growling and
shooting a bunch of like
at
dead
me?
cockroaches and rats nests out the back of the
Very
exhaust?
normal.
Like, all right, that's my little.
I wouldn't do that. I would probably not put a tiger in a blender and then put it in my gas tank. That'd be
probably
cruel.
breaks like a couple of laws to do that, like conservation.
Yeah, I think that breaks a couple of laws. Yeah.
Yeah. So next slide. This is my favorite story about this car. And I did actually. It's one of those stories that like you hear it and you're like, that's bullshit. There's no way it could be true. The legend goes that this car is so unreliable that CARB, the California Air Resources Board,
I found their old logo, which
got
looks
9
cool.
cars.
Their new one looks like shit. It's just some like design agency like shapes.
Right.
Yeah, no, we need to bring back the whole like serif on top, sands on the bottom kind of style. It goes hard. But yeah, so CARB got 9 of these cars. They actually they decided to refuse to allow them to be sold in California after testing. Not because the car was too dirty, but because all of them broke down before they could finish testing.
That's good, right?
So it's one of those stories that's like, oh, that's really good. I wonder if it's true. I found a New York Times article from like 1983 where it literally quoted a guy from CARB who said, of the 9 cars supplied to us, all of them suffered engine problems and 7 of them had transmission failures.
Beautiful.
It is worth noting, and I hadn't even get onto this because I was so distracted by the engine itself. The only transmission that was paired with this motor for, I think, almost all of its life was the THM 200 automatic, which was a 3-speed that liked to shit the bed constantly. So if you somehow managed to avoid all the engine issues, you could still theoretically have issues with blowing. It's too easy. I'm sorry. Your transmission.
Yeah.
So that is my favorite story about it. So I think they ended up getting one to pass by like 1982, but that was 4 years after these introduced. Basically, the idea of a General Motors diesel was so
not
wildly
a joke
toxic.
About passing and transmissions. I'm not doing it.
Proud of you,
and
Alice.
Blowing.
Yeah,
I believe in you, Alice.
This user can say it.
this user doesn't want to. This user is tired and wants to finish the episode and go to bed.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I'm trying.
Okay.
Keep her up. Keep her awake forever.
You can't. This is cruel and unusual.
Yeah, that's why I'm doing it.
This is her punishment for having the sliding hard drives.
Yes.
Okay, so next slide, please.
Listen, if they weren't meant to go in there, why did the
button?
screws sort of match up with the holes?
I'm gonna fight you.
So what is the after effect of making the world's worst vehicle and immediately selling it? Well, dealers won't take trade-ins anymore. Or if they do, they'll take your your new Cadillac that blue books at $15,000 and give you maybe 2 or 3 for it. Because the dealers don't want to be associated with this car and they don't want to work on it. They just don't want it near them. It's fucking toxic.
Mercedes complains publicly that this scares Americans off of big diesels for like years.
Yeah.
Because they're like, shit, they're all gonna do this.
Yeah. JD Power, which nowadays you see them in like advertisements, and they have 2 sides of their corporation, which one is that they rank, customer satisfaction, reliability, and all this stuff for public facing stuff. But the main money they actually make is doing market research for companies. So they are playing both sides of the game and coming out on top. But they were they had come to slight prominence with the prediction of the Mazda rotary engine failures back in the 70s that we had talked about earlier. They predicted this, and GM was this big like, oh, we don't need no outside influence. This is stupid. We have our own internal market research. And then after this, they were like, hey, JD Power, what's up? So this actually, this car is why you see this stupid seal on every car commercial and magazine print ad and everything since about 1980.
Because GM was like, I think I know a little something about making cars, thank you, and then immediately got owned.
Shit and pissed, yeah.
Yeah. So the next thing that happened that based on this was the invention of the lemon law.
There we go.
So this car was actually bad enough. There was like a federal act that required that you enforce warranties that had passed in 1975, but there was no such thing as like a lemon law yet in most places. And so like a bunch of states passed their own lemon laws.
What is a lemon law?
Because lemon law is basically if you buy a car and it immediately turns out to be a lemon or, a defective piece of shit that blows its head gasket
they have
after
to buy it
10,000
back,
miles.
basically.
Huh. I don't think we
Yeah.
have this. I think this is an American innovation.
It isn't just like, oh, it sucks, take it back. There's like a process to it. But yeah, Corinne's parents once bought a Dodge Durango that turned out to be defective and lemon lawed it.
Huh.
I know I repeat myself, but
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not. They all came like that. Didn't
the only
they?
people I've ever known to buy a Chrysler Aspen.
Oh
Wow.
my god!
I thought I was a masochist. Anyway, so lemon laws come about. The FTC got so many complaints for this car, they asked the Better Business Bureau to step in because they were so overwhelmed they didn't have enough people to like mediate.
I kind of love the Better Business Bureau. It's just basically like something that is not part of the government but sounds enough like it that sometimes they just deputize it when it's like too much work.
Yeah. They were like it was all of those 120,000 people basically immediately complained because they realized their cars sucked. And it led to a ton of class action lawsuits, and eventually in one of them GM was legally required to pay for up to 80% of the costs of new engines for the cars, which really didn't satisfy a lot of people. But
kicking and
GM,
screaming, they finally like were dragged into like paying some money for this.
Yeah. So your car has been dead in your driveway for 5 years. Here's a check.
You care enough to like
off.
continue to sue us about it.
Yeah, well, there was like when I read the New York Times story from like 1985 about this, it was like this wealthy couple bought a Cadillac Diesel Seville, and they both quit their jobs to devote their time to forming a class action lawsuit against GM.
I don't know that I've ever been that mad about anything, and I'm mad about a lot of things.
I'm sure I have been, but I don't really remember when.
I'm trying to think of the level of shit I would have to like endure where I would quit my job to make it my mission in life to like fuck over the
going
people
to the New York Times and asking them to put it in the newspaper that you got mad.
Yeah.
That's how mad they are. So next slide, please. So the bitter irony in all of this is that by 1981-82, the diesel V8 is actually mostly fixed. They actually they strengthened the head bolts. They I don't know if they added a water separator ever or not, but they fixed a bunch of the other mechanical
diesel
issues.
Fuel got better.
Transmissions ended up being less bad. Yeah. And so it's not bad. In 82, I think this V6 came out. It was actually really solid. It was reliable and efficient. And at this point now, diesel fuel is slightly more expensive than gasoline, which has dropped crazy in price since 78. And also everybody thinks that a GM diesel is the biggest. They think diesel motors in general are just a bad idea. Yeah. So GM almost sells none. Like the Oldsmobile that I drove was an 81, which is probably the only reason it was still running, but they also sold 10 of them that year because basically the diesel badge in a GM was pure toxic, waste. Nobody wanted to get near those fucking things. So, by 85, they're like, well, that was a fun experiment. They've got this beautiful new V6 that they just came out with 3 years earlier. And we're canning everything.
Yep. Let's never do it again.
And that was it. Yep. For 25-ish years, there were no diesels in America.
Unless you bought a Mercedes.
And even then, I don't think they did not sell in the proportions they did
you
pre
just buy your big
1980 or so.
Blue Tech.
No. Your fuel injected petrol engine. Mercedes.
Yeah, because and they still obviously they still did fine in Europe and everything, but really Volkswagen didn't start doing the TDI thing until the late 90s. So what, 10, 15 years later.
LGBT.
The blue tech stuff didn't come out to like
Pride Month. Is that anything? I don't know. I'm very tired.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
It's actually negative things.
I liked it. I stand with you, Alice.
I didn't, Liam.
That's okay. I've been outvoted.
Lesbian, gay, bisexual, turbo diesel injector.
I like that. That's fun.
Yes.
All right. Let's move this along so Alice can go to bed before she dies on the show.
Yeah. By gay men copulated.
I think you should be able to get a little a little badge for the back of your TDI that just has an LGB that you just stick on the front of it. I think it'd be cool.
It would be funny if
LGBTDI.
LGTI is all I got. Lesbians, gays, transgender, intersex. I'm just leaving a bunch of people out. Sorry, bisexuals. You're out. You're out.
Yeah, you thought it was coming for the T first. No.
I'm doing biphobia, baby.
No. Yeah.
They call it the gentleman's phobia.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, this car basically kills diesel engines in the U.S.
Damn, does that have like some environmental implications? Maybe.
No, shut up.
I don't know. Everything's fine. The Earth isn't warming. We're good. I asked.
Yeah, we're good.
I listened to Ron DeSantis' speech, and we're gonna be fine.
God.
That dude for
the
sure.
other thing that is a funny note. Yeah, he does.
I believe he's named Rob.
Yeah, Rob de Sanctimonious.
Rob DeSantis.
Rob the Meatball de Sanctimonious. He just gets
Meatball Rob.
Bobby Meatballs.
Yeah, Bobby Meatball. Hey, Bobby Meatballs.
Alice is in full delirium.
A little bit. I just think about the way in which he eats pudding with like three fingers. Like that's. I mean. Are we counting thumb as a finger? Is it like 2 fingers and thumb, or is it like?
I thought it was like 3, like the Boy Scout salute.
3 fingers and thumb is like that's yeah.
Hey, Bobby Meatballs from Paterson, New Jersey. Hey.
I don't want to do this Google search. He's from Jacksonville, you motherfucker.
No, I'm starting a false rumor that he's from Yonkers.
Yeah, he's he could be from Young. I think Bobby Meatballs is like a Patterson thing, though. You know, that's what I'm getting out of it. He ran a cured meat shop, and he became governor of Florida.
He was like mayor of
whatever
Jersey
the fuck
City
he is.
before that.
That's funny.
Yeah.
He was Atlantic County sheriff.
I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, the only other thing that's worth noting with these engines, and then I will let Alice go to bed.
No, there's safety third as well.
Skip it.
No, let's not.
Okay.
We're sending Alice to bed. Yeah, they're because they were shitty diesels, but they have like huge solid blocks that were meant to try to contain the pressures of a diesel motor. If you convert them from diesel back to gas, they actually take a ton of power really well. You can turbocharge the shit out of them. They're like, people use them for like drag cars all the time.
Yeah.
So like there was some good. It was the the diesel the Oldsmobile diesel may explode all the time and kill people, but it helps me get down the drag strip faster. So who's to say if it's bad or not?
No, it's good.
Capitalistically, the thing that it ended up like making successful was drag races.
Yes.
Cool. Eat shit, Florida.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we could have diesel F1, is what I'm hearing.
So, yeah, I think this is the thing. I think we would get sued into oblivion by F1 if we tried to make a diesel F1 shirt. But on the other hand, I really want to do it. So, impossible to say.
Yes. We'd be personally
obliterated
murdered by...
Yeah. Also, our lawyer is just my dad, so we are not going in this with an edge. I will say that. He's very old, but he's tired.
Same.
Personally killed by Bernie Eccleston.
Bernie Eccleston, there's a guy who would like a Hitler car.
All right, what did we learn? Moving on.
Yeah. Did we learn anything?
Diesel engines, they're a land of contrasts. Rudolf Diesel was probably murdered by the Germans.
I learned I don't want Roz's job.
Yeah. Yeah, you ain't wrong.
Yeah, I learned that 4 hours sleep is not enough.
good 30% of this podcast was about the subject at the very least.
I
really
did learn something. I learned about how to mount hard drives from Liam.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I learned a lot about diesels.
I'm glad I could be the teacher today. Well, yeah, that's all I got. I learned I don't want Roz.
Take third. Moving on rapidly.
Safety third.
Shake hands with the danger.
Give a segment on this podcast.
Hands with danger.
Hello, Justin, Alice, Liam, and Schrodinger's guest.
That's a good one.
The guest is here as soon as you observe her.
Yeah. All right, go.
My safety third story isn't quite as explosive as some, but I hope it fills you with a respectable amount of horror nonetheless. Major names redacted for obvious reasons. I used to work at a well-known, in my state, as well as the surrounding ones, non-profit animal shelter.
That's going to be bad already.
We were a well-off organization bringing in multiple millions of dollars a year and operating out of a custom-built, state-of-the-art facility. And it was by far the worst job I've ever worked. Saving the egregious health and safety violations for later, it was an absolute mess of toxic work relations involving an explosively fickle CEO and one single guy as our entire HR department who couldn't be counted on for shit. The command structure was impossible to submit complaints to without risking reprimandment or straight up being fired. Thus, you get the idea of what happened when I came to administration with my safety concerns.
That's always a good sign.
Yes. For some context, I have no background in engineering or workplace safety or chemical engineering or anything. I am a theater technician by trade.
A million times more dangerous. Dodging flying sandbags and shit.
Our nonprofit, despite our revenues, relied on volunteer labor. Most of our regulars were retired senior women. This is a surprise tool that will help us later. And we relied on donated food and toys to operate. We took cost-cutting measures wherever possible as regarded the supplies, with regard to the supplies we used on the regular. For instance, wet food, toys, towels, beds. One of these cost-cutting measures had to do with where we sourced our kitty litter. A lot of it was donated by members of the public, but due to the sheer volume we churned through, the kindness of strangers was not enough. The way we filled in the gaps was through a very handshaky deal with redacted international pharmaceutical company.
I think I got my vaccine from them.
Yes.
Me too.
They had a facility a few miles from our own facility. Essentially, they gave us the used desiccant from their labs at no charge. They could get rid of a waste product, and we got an absorbent that could be used as cat litter without spending any money. It was shipped to us in small individual bags, packed inside large cardboard drums, and our procedure dictated... Yeah, seen here. And our procedure dictated that we open all the bags and dump the contents into the 50-gallon trash cans. These trash cans were inside every cleaning station, and we would scoop the desiccant into litter boxes as we cleaned. Now, this stuff was horrible to work with. That's horrible with a capital H. It dried your hands out if you touched it. It left chalky patches over your skin and clothes. Every time you interacted with it, it all flumed into these clouds that refused to dissipate and made us all cough.
I'm sure that's aside from anything else, like not the main concern here. I'm sure that's great for the cats as well, right?
I was thinking that too.
Not very good for the cats. After only a few weeks of this job, I went home with a persistent cough that continued to worsen. It was throaty and chest-based, and I could feel it rumbling.
Mesothelioma!
I occasionally lost sleep from coughing too much.
And you're doing this like as volunteering?
Yeah. I spoke to a regular volunteer who complained of the same issue and decided to research what the desiccant actually was. The search was like pulling teeth.
Oh, that's
manufacturer
a bad sign.
Made it impossible to find any product specs through such fun tactics as having an invalid email and only accepting contact through fax and refusing to list their safety data sheets anywhere online unless you were placing a bulk order for their product.
The email is like crazyvaclav@chemicals.online.
It took me at least a week of internet sleuthery and searching individual serial numbers to get anywhere, and that was day in, day out, Googling and reading manufacturing minutia. To condense my findings, the desiccant we were, and to my knowledge still are using, is approximately 10 to 15% or 5 to 10% respirable crystalline silica.
What? You're gonna get fucking silicosis, dude. You're gonna get like diseases only miners get.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah, only miners and particularly poorly managed mines.
Yeah.
We were never told that this material could be dangerous. We were never given respirators. We frequently interacted with it in non-ventilated spaces and came across tens of pounds of it a day, leaving it on our skin and clothes. Every safety data sheet I found for the same product made by different manufacturers was basically screaming to get people away from it if they breathe it, and that repeated exposure could cause silicosis and cancers and other lovely side effects. Remembering how we were using it, we were exposed to millions of times the OSHA daily allowable limit of silica without any respirators or breathing apparatuses. Not to mention we were using it as litter for cats, whose paws were cracked and dry, and our volunteers were mostly 60 years old or older. One of them had chronic
lawsuit. Yeah, this could have been like a legitimate like national scandal.
Yeah.
People one of them had cats. They don't give a shit about like human volunteers, but they love cats.
Yeah, but people like cats.
That's me, baby. Exactly. Just say my name next time.
One of them had chronic laryngitis and lung issues. When I went to our facilities manager to ask to see the safety data sheet for this particular product and state my case, she basically gave me a "not my monkeys, not my circus" kind of response, as the deal had been negotiated years before her employment. She had a meeting with me where she seemed unconvinced, but promised to contact redacted international pharmaceutical company to ask for a copy of the SDS. It took nearly 3 weeks for it to get to me, and in the meantime, our HR guy kept trying to dissuade me from looking and assure me it was safe, despite my complaints. When he finally handed me the printout, he only said, "See, I told you it was safe," and he walked away.
Seems like a good sign, all right.
Unrelated side note, this same HR guy proceeded to misgender me repeatedly in conversation after outing me to my coworkers when I specifically told him I was fine going stealth at work. This was supposed to be him supporting me, by the way.
Yeah, don't you feel supported?
Yeah.
We must beat this man unconscious.
This is the most depressing safety third I think I've listened to in quite a while.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here like, wow, I think I'm gonna go like stare at the sun for a while after this one.
For a while, yeah.
It's important to note, OSHA changed the allowable daily limit of respirable crystalline silica to a much lower number than it previously had been, down to 50 micrograms over an 8-hour shift, I believe, in the summer of 2016. The SDS I received was from May of 2015. I handed in my resignation shortly afterwards, to which I was told I wasn't allowed to come back at all after I got sick on the last day of my 2 weeks. So that was nice. To my knowledge, nothing has changed since I've left, and I'm keeping close watch on my lung health.
I don't say this about every safety third, right? But especially if you still have that SDS, go to a lawyer. Speak to a lawyer.
What was
do
about
so
to say.
immediately. Run, do not walk. You will not pay for shit. Like, anyone who wants to be the next Aaron Brockovich is going to leap on this with like and like grab it with both hands. Go to a lawyer. This like could be the first like admissible podcast that we've ever done, and somehow it won't be from us. Like, if it's still happening and like they
go talk to a lawyer.
Yes, genuinely. Like,
do it for the cats. Those poor cats.
Yes, my sweet babies.
Yeah.
We're gonna get lawyers reaching out to us for this.
Yeah, I was about to say,
like,
thanks for the long hours of morbid company during my interminable shifts at the new, less poisonous job. Makes my experiences at this job feel less isolating and gaslighty. Keep up the lovely work.
Oh, you're welcome. But you know what else you're welcome for? The gigantic settlement you will see in 20 years' time. Like,
I was about to say, I think it's time to lawyer up.
Yes, yes. It is time. Speak to a lawyer.
Yeah. Warily and sincerely from Frankie. P.S. Here's a redacted image of me standing in front of the army of desiccant barrels.
Frankie,
keep that image also. Like,
yeah. I was about to say. This is really bad.
Just keep all of the evidence that you have of this,
and
keep your coworkers' phone numbers and speak to a lawyer.
Yeah, maybe several lawyers, maybe a whole legal team. Go.
Maybe,
I don't know.
Maybe OSHA as well.
Get the big guns out. Go talk to Steven Donziger or something. I don't know.
Yeah, talk to the fucking chemical safety review board or whatever the fuck it's called.
Oh my
the ones
god!
Who, make those animations of labs blowing up.
Yeah, they could have like an animation of a bunch of cute kitties now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So much.
Yeah.
Where's Tobias?
Do not remind me of that. I'm going to cry. I do not want to be the first guest to openly weep on, well, there's your problem.
I don't think you're the first one.
Yeah.
I'm the first host to openly weep, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
We can do it simultaneously.
Eat shit, capitalism. Yeah. All right. Yeah. That was safety third.
Yeah, that was safety third. I'm looking at Pizza Boy
Get a lawyer.
now. He is
shake hands with lawyer.
He's completely unperturbed.
Yeah, he doesn't give a fuck about anything, especially himself. Maybe only himself. I don't know. All right.
Our next episode will be about Chernobyl. Does anyone have any commercials before we go?
Kill James Bond. Victoria.
I have one quick one. So the whole thing that inspired me wanting to talk about the Oldsmobile diesel, I did a road trip from Seattle to Minneapolis in this pair of old cars. It is called, I wrote a story about it called The Last Great American Road Trip. It is on my itch.io. It's victoriascott.itch.io. It's $4. You get all the film photos I took with it. I'm pretty proud of it, so I'd like people to see it. I had my book come out, I think, since the last time we recorded. That's Postcards to the End of the World. That's available at Carrera Books. It's like a post-apocalyptic photo journey story.
It's really
Thank
good.
You.
Buy the book. Buy the books, in fact. And I think there might also be prints coming at some point soon.
Yeah,
right?
that's actually, I have them literally in here right now. I'm after we finish recording, I'm going to go rework my website so I can sell prints through it. And I'll be doing signed, numbered, incredibly 200-year archival. I can't believe I can make this in my house kind of prints. It's it's kind of like what I imagine having an industrial meth lab feels like. How can I create this?
Well, meth labs don't like piss.
So yeah, I think that's it. Thank you. And thank you for having me. I always enjoy it.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for coming.
It's always a delight, genuinely.
You are, as always, fantastic.
I did my best. But I listened to you guys a bunch too recently when I was driving 11-hour days on said road trips, and it helped me from going insane. So thank you.
Happy to do it for you and indeed anyone.
Yes. Well, I think that was an episode.
That was an episode.
And, yeah. Someone go save those cats. My God.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah. All right.
Frankie. My God.
Yeah.
And Frankie. Yeah. We should probably say Frankie.
Yes. Okay. That's it.
Goodbye.
Bye.